Okay, now we've got queXSS talking to LimeSurvey. I'll run through what's required on the LimeSurvey side for your questionnaires to be able to work with queXSS. So basically you need an activated survey. So I'm just going to create a test one here. So we've just got the default questionnaire set up in LimeSurvey here. We will activate it. So you can choose which elements that you want to keep. None of those are required, by the way, for queXSS integration, but you do need what LimeSurvey calls closed access mode, or it used to be called enabling the tokens table, or now the participant table. So that does need to be activated. So in other words, it's a survey set up in LimeSurvey that's both active and it's restricted to access via survey participants. You don't have to add any of the survey participants yourself, but queXSS will do that. But you do need the questionnaire to be both activated and have the survey participants function on. Okay, so now let's see how that looks in queXSS. You'll notice here the survey is called test. It's got an ID 773653. So if we go to questionnaires, or just to the dashboard, we don't have any questionnaires available yet in queXSS. So just for simplicity, I'll call the project, I guess you'd call it in queXSS, a questionnaire, and the instrument, or the survey in LimeSurvey, the survey. So you create a new questionnaire which links to a survey in LimeSurvey. So this drop-down box would include all your active surveys in LimeSurvey that the user that we've configured in the system settings here has access to on this LimeSurvey instance. So there's only one here that's called test, so we've only got one to choose from. And then we give it a name, and this is what it's referred to inside queXSS. So this is what you're calling your questionnaire from the point of view of a telephone interviewer. So although they're interfacing the same survey in LimeSurvey, this is what it looks like for the interviewers. Okay, so I'm just going to call it test for interviewers. Now you have a choice of what we call respondent selection. What respondent selection is for queXSS is you can choose so that when the interviewer is presented with the questionnaire for the first time, it can just jump to the very first page of the survey. So that's what we call no respondent selection. Otherwise, you can have a basic script for respondent selection text, and that basically allows you to give a script to the interviewer to introduce the project based on these two screens before they see the questionnaire itself. So here, for example, you could have some text introducing the project, saying where you're calling from, and if they accept, if they're happy to proceed after they've heard from the introduction from the interviewer, only then will the questionnaire start. Otherwise, it will jump. You can choose to just go straight to the questionnaire. So just for simplicity, let's choose going straight to the questionnaire. You also have the ability to restrict appointments to shifts. To do this would mean an interviewer can only make an appointment in the future if a shift or a time period has been defined. Otherwise, they can't make an appointment. If you turn this off, they could make an appointment for any time in the future. And if you do that, then you run the risk of, making an appointment with a respondent when nobody is there to fulfill it. No interviewers are there to fulfill it. But for testing, I'm going to turn that off so we don't have to worry about shifts. Restricting work to shifts. Oh no, actually I'll keep that on. This is a good function to enable. It's commonly used for telephone interviewing. Restricting work to shifts will mean that if a time period has been defined, interviewers can only work in defined time periods. If they log onto the system, there won't be any work there for them unless it's within specific time periods. If you enable this questionnaire for testing function, then the interviewers will not be presented with the phone numbers that come in the list. They will just be presented with they'll only be presented with internal numbers of the other interviewers. So if, for example, you have 5 interviewers with internal numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, for testing, when testing mode is enabled, no matter what telephone numbers are assigned to the case, they'll only see the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to call. And that can be useful if you want to do some training with your interviewers to call each other to do the survey as a test. Generating referrals, I'll just leave that off because for now we're going to put dummy numbers in anyway. That's the other option when you're doing testing. You can load a list of dummy numbers. Allowing operators to generate referrals. This means the operators can actually create a new case for the survey on the fly. So this is useful in projects where you are doing snowball sampling, so where you want to call contacts of the respondent almost immediately, I guess, or after the interview is completed. It's for only where that use case really. Allowing respondent self-completion via email invitation. This is a common one these days because it'll allow the interviewer to send an email to the respondent while they're on the phone, which will allow the respondent to complete the questionnaire via LimeSurvey automatically. Okay, so there's some common settings we use for setting up a questionnaire. The text here, you can add a thank you message at the end of your project, similar to the end message in LimeSurvey, but this is specific for telephone interviewers. So you could just say, thank you for your time today, for example. This project information will appear all the time for the interviewer, no matter what screen they're on. There's a little menu for them to see information about the project. So you could have something like primary investigator details. Or other information about the project. For example. Okay, and these settings can be changed afterwards as well. But let's go ahead and create that questionnaire. Great. So you'll note that in queXSS, this is our first questionnaire in this system, but it's linked to the LimeSurveySurvey here. Okay, so we won't create another one. We'll just have a look at our dashboard now, which shows us all the functions available for this interviewing test.